Hey everybody, how you doing? It's your buddy's pal Anthony here today. With me, we have the man himself, Hey Archer, and Sal. Welcome, guys. Today we're going to do something that Steve has been dreading. We are going to revisit a 2013 hidden gem, Man of Steel. And Steve, get your hand away from the button to cut the feed. I see it.
That's exactly
And
what my hand was on, actually.
yeah, you're like, you know what? This whole thing is not going to work, and that's the end of the show. But we're going to try to make it work. So I'm thinking we should see, because me and Sal are going to kind of dominate this conversation because we have a lot of love for this movie. What are your top 3 or 5 issues with Man of Steel?
Well, before we even do 3 to 5 issues, we have to roll the intro to the show. So, without further ado, intro. You said 3 to 5 issues with the show?
Sure.
All right.
Yeah,
cool.
why not?
I'll do that. And for everybody who's listening, put your 3 to 5 in the comments, of course. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, leave a good review and put those exact thoughts in there. First of all, I don't believe that I understand the concept of Clark Kent. It's kind of silly. He wears his glasses. Nobody knows that he's Superman or whatever. But Henry Cavill, I think Cavill's wrong. Isn't it like Cavill? Really? Something like that?
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. Anyway, dude is way too handsome to come across as like a nerdy guy that people are like, oh, he's just that nerdy Clark Kent. No way. He's like 6'5", 250 pounds of just muscle though. And maybe like 230, but of just muscle. And you expect me to believe that he's the bumbling idiot Clark Kent, which he didn't even bumble that much in the movie anyway. But I was like, I just don't, to me, it's not passable that he's Clark Kent. Superman, yeah, he visually nails it as Superman. But as Clark Kent, nothing about him to me was like Clark Kent. Like it did, nothing was weak. Nothing seemed nerdy or anything like that. Do you guys want to counter each point as I go, or like me give a list?
No, but
I
I
think we
I
should.
get what you're saying on that.
Mhm.
I get what you're saying because he's built like a linebacker,
Yeah.
and you're going to catch that guy. You're going to walk down the street and you're going to catch that guy every time.
Yeah.
You know, he's huge.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
can
but
I can follow where you're going to come with that a little bit.
But I would say that point's not valid because it's the origin of Superman, and he hasn't figured out that he has to do a bump. You're right. He didn't do a bumbling Clark Kent at
Mhm.
all, but he didn't try to. It's the first movie he's figuring everything out. It would have been ridiculous if, and first of all, we only really see him as uh how should I say it? Like him with the dual identity. We see that for 5 seconds at the end of the movie. We see it more
Mhm.
in Batman, Superman,
Right.
and he still hasn't gotten it there yet. But he hasn't necessarily learned that he should be doing that yet. So you're
Mhm.
right. People would pick him out of a crowd, and maybe that's something that like if the series had gotten to continue by like a proper Superman 2, then he's like kind of wearing the oversized clothes. He's hunching because we'll talk about this later.
Mm.
But Superman Returns. Don't hate me. He look at his posture. Look at Christopher Reeves. Look at their posture. Look at their mannerisms. Totally different.
Yeah.
Chris,
I think I don't
Christopher
think
Reeves
that's
is
a valid
huge.
point because yeah, and Reeves was huge. He got
Reeves is a big guy.
Yeah.
yeah, and there was footage where he was like, yeah, I thought the guy should have a physique. So there's video of him in the '70s training for Superman. So he did
Right.
it.
Right.
I mean, yeah, you're right. He wasn't a bumbling Clark Kent, but he didn't figure that part out yet. He didn't, he was just Clark for the entire movie. He wasn't even Superman yet. They called him Superman, but he was Clark the entire friggin' movie. So that's my counter to that.
To hit somewhere in the middle, um, my first introduction to Superman, I grew up on a bunch of stuff that was a lot older than what we even should have been watching. So I
Mhm.
grew up on the the color cartoons of Superman from the 40s,
Yeah.
right? Stuff where he's fighting these big industrial things, and there's like these pulling zeppelins out of the sky that are
Yeah.
on fire,
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff. And that guy wasn't small by any means.
Mm.
And George Reeve, I don't think George Reeve was a small guy either.
No.
So they did kind of look kind of burly looking. But I guess you can kind of play that off with the whole farm boy thing. I mean, a lot of those guys are kind of you're working on a farm your whole life, you're kind of hardy.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah,
Maybe.
you're gonna be jacked, or you're gonna be like kind of fat and jacked. But
Yeah.
yeah, you're doing manual labor all day.
But on the bumbling thing, um, something that Anthony and I always bring up, and I kind of touched on it a little bit with you when you talked about Batman v Superman, is with editing. Sometimes editing can change a lot of things, and one of the things that editing tends to blur is timeline. It's actually one of my favorite things about Man of Steel because they don't do that. He's Superman for about 3 days,
Hmm.
like in costume,
Right.
like
Yeah.
roughly 3 days. So the guy's not a stumbling fool when he's wearing a suit in Metropolis. Eh, that's actually most of where I forgive the movie,
Hmm.
all his Superman stuff, is the timeline. I think that's actually the only excuse. That's what saves it.
Hmm.
But we'll touch back on that later.
Yeah.
Mm.
No, and for sure. I mean, every act, even, I mean, Superman, the animated series, like he was a big guy. Like it was that, I acknowledge that it exists. I think just seeing somebody of his, just seeing him, maybe he's just too handsome. I don't know. I just feel like there wasn't that mix. But that's why I also like the casting of Superman on Superman and Lois, because he's not as huge. Again, good looking guy, but it's more when he's in the glasses. If I saw him in the street, I'd be like, oh, he's kind of a nerdy guy who works out. Like I'd get that impression. But again, seeing Henry, that's where I'm like, this is like James Bond right here. I don't believe by any stretch that he's, you know, like the way that Lois kind of like even blows him off, like when she sees him for the first time. I'm like, I don't think that would happen in real life. I think she'd be like, oh wow, like there's this in this day and age,
Mm.
like, oh, there's this attractive looking new guy here or something like that. I don't know. But that leads me to my second issue, which is the dynamic of Lois and Superman, which maybe it's more the flaw of BVS because I haven't seen Man of Steel in so long, but I feel like their dynamic there was no chemistry there. I thought they were very much forcing their relationship, and I don't think there'll be many iterations of Superman and Lois that could mirror the chemistry of the Christopher Reed movies or even Dean Cain and whatever faces in Lois and Clark. But I didn't feel
Terry
like the
Hatcher.
chemistry. Yeah, Terry Hatcher. I didn't think the chemistry was there as well. Where I was like, all right, there's something to these two. Love Amy Adams. It's not even like I hate her or anything. I just feel like either they didn't portray her well enough, or the movie's just too distracting, or maybe there just wasn't enough one-on-one moments. But I felt like she was there because she had to be there, not because it actually made sense to anything in the story.
Oh, they could have done without her. Totally. They could have kept her to the that end credit scene where he walks into the Daily Planet,
Yeah,
and that could have been his introduction, where maybe like she bumps into him and he stumbles.
yeah,
Being she's half his size
yeah,
because she doesn't play an important role in the movie at all.
yeah.
I mean, I agree with you. They don't really have much chemistry, and not to be repetitive, I'm going back to the whole. It's well, what Salad said. It's like it's 3 days, but
Right.
also like she serves a function in that she's our into the larger story of with the military and whatnot. But I agree. After he gets her out of the ship,
Mhm.
right? Because okay, you keep her in the movie because for whatever reason Zod wants her to, which makes no sense. And I'm not, again, by the way, spoiler, I'm not saying it's a perfect movie. I'm just saying I think it's better than you think.
Of
But
course. Yeah.
yeah, there's no reason that that he should want to take her except for, oh, well, it's Lois. We got to get Lois involved in the story. But
Right.
that's not her, traditionally anyway, that's not her function. They involve her in the story really well on Superman and Lois the TV show, but that was a little forced. So I'll give you that one, because to me, okay, fine. For whatever reason, he's like, oh, we're taking her too. The minute he gets her back on the ground, that should have more or less ended her involvement. Like, maybe she's like, oh, hey, the ship, because, Jor-El spoke to her. But there's no reason for her to be on that transport. She should be back in Metropolis or whatever. And while probably jumping to, I'm assuming this is going to be a point of contention for you, the destruction of Metropolis, her like random, like her popping up there after surviving the crash of what I should know this, like, what was that? Like a C-147? Why am I blanking on the type of aircraft? But anyway, her surviving that crash, him, like all that shit. It's like, oh, all right, now you're forcing it down my throat a little bit. I would have been more forgiving, so I'll give you that one. Like, she was shoehorned in there, but like there was a little bit of purpose, but they went a step too far. So, Sal?
I mean, I think the best way to fix that was to cut her out of the entire movie. I don't think she adds or benefits. I think she gets in the way, and I understand you want to kiss a female next to him, but I don't think it held in the story they were telling. I don't think it held a place, especially since they don't start the Daily Planet stuff until the end.
Sure.
They could have done without it. It could have been anybody, really.
Yeah.
Didn't have. I wouldn't even have. Maybe the same way didn't name Jimmy Olsen. Maybe I wouldn't have named the guy that whoever they would have sent in her place. I don't think. Maybe they shouldn't have named him. It should have just been a regular reporter, and then you put Lois Lane in on the end. Not taking away from Amy Adams. I like her a lot.
Yeah, but that's Zack Snyder. Like, Zack Snyder is just, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. It's gonna be so different and cool and dark and like you said, putting Jimmy Olsen in there. I mean, I don't even. I'm trying to remember. I know Jimmy's in the second one. Did they reference him in the first one at all, or no?
I think he's the same character. The character's name Jimmy Olsen in the credits, but I don't think they ever name.
They don't. They say in Man of Steel. Oh no, wait. Batman Superman. I'm sorry. So okay, hang on. So in Man of Steel, the woman who is like the new reporter, she was supposed to be like Jamie Olsen. Like, he gender swapped the character Snyder, and in Batman Superman, the guy, the CIA agent
Is Jimmy Olsen.
is like I would have I don't know how they credit him, but yeah, he's Jimmy Olsen. So that was that, and then
Which
she
should have
became
never happened.
a
That's
different.
terrible.
Yeah, no,
To just
there's
kill
no
him
reason
off.
for that. Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
that was
just-
like weird.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to bash BVS because that's the only one that I like. But you mentioned.
I guess that's another video, right?
That is, yeah.
Yeah.
But you mentioned the was that we're up to 3 now? I said
3.
Yeah.
Yep.
No,
3.
4 because I did Clark.
No, we're on 3.
Oh yeah, Clark, Lois. Yeah, 3. Because we started talking about Jimmy. That's why I thought that was 3. Metropolis. And I'll just say Zack Snyder's what his vision of a superhero fight looks like is probably the overall issue, because and maybe that's the fault of just superhero movies now, that it's always like, and we talked about this on Hey Archer 149, like everything has to get destroyed. Like they're every fight has to be the entire city gets wiped away. And the Smallville battle, I didn't mind. I didn't mind it really. At a certain point, I was wondering how will they figure out a way to end all of this. Like that did come across my mind, but the destruction level in just the first movie in this series, I was like, where do you go from here? And again, we mentioned that on 149, but it's I think we were talking about Marvel at that point, but it was like, where do you even go from here? Yeah, it's like you the whole city got wrecked. You literally up uphill, whatever, like the entire metropolis. And now it's just, we go into the second movie. They mention that it's being rebuilt, but it's pretty much done. It's pretty much, I think Lex probably even helped rebuild the city. I don't remember. I might be getting movies confused, but I was like, this is just too out of control. This is just too massive, too everything. It's too in my face. And I could not get over that.
Well, he had, Avengers had come out a year before.
Yeah.
And who knows what was going through Warner Brothers' head where it's like, hey, they wrecked Midtown.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they wreck Midtown, you got to wreck the entire island.
It could be.
That's what superhero movies do. They just blow stuff up and they get bigger and better.
As Aaron Waller says, the sky portal opens up, city gets wrecked, and you also got to make sure you fight a bunch of faceless monsters. Not in this movie, but it happened in pretty much every other one.
Yeah. So Sal and I have spoke, and it makes sense that, okay, let's just talk about Superman versus Zod, okay?
Yeah.
Because the other destruction from the world engine, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not over the top, but it's over the top that by Batman Superman, they've built it back already.
Yeah.
Unless you're talking about a huge time jump, and if you did, which they didn't do, and if they did do, that takes away from Batman, because then it's like, wait a minute, you've had even more time removed from this attack, and you can't figure out Lex Luthor is screwing with you. So the world engine stuff, that happened. We'll deal with it. They should have let it be destroyed longer. It should have been a crater, unless whatever, Superman starts helping out at super speed but anyway. But let's just can we agree we'll just look at Supes and Zod?
Yeah.
Okay. It's been 3 days, like we said. He has never fought anything harder than nothing. Like maybe he punched through trees or something when he was working on the farm doing chores and shit. He has never fought he's never fought anybody. He's never fought anybody with powers.
Right.
He's never fought anybody with military training.
Right.
And now all of a sudden it's that. And plus it's really cool. When Zod wills himself to fly.
Yeah.
To me, I'd have to watch the scene again. To me, there's oh shit, maybe a little bit of fear in his face, which is good because it's not just the I'm Captain America. I mean, I'm Superman. That was an intentional gaffe.
Yeah.
And so it makes sense because to me, and stop me if I'm not speaking for you, Sal, but to me, he has no idea what he's doing. All he's thinking is, gotta punch him. And he's not Superman. He's Clark Kent in a suit. He isn't thinking
it's a Halloween
of the collateral
costume
damage.
At that point.
Yeah. He's just like, oh my God, I gotta get this guy. And yeah, he's getting owned, and that's part of the reason he's not paying attention and so much crap is getting wrecked. Versus he didn't really he's in Batman Superman, he gives Lois the little nod and she lowers her hands from the terrorist so that he can fucking pulverize it through a wall.
Yeah.
Which is overkill, but he's thinking. He has a plan. He didn't just I don't know, do whatever else that would have been worse than what he did. You know what I'm saying? So to me, I'm okay with the collateral damage that he's causing because he's getting owned. He's really in over his head. It's his third or fourth day on the job, and you're fighting General Zod on your fourth day. I don't know fighting, but you just entered training for Ultimate Fighter, and who am I fighting on day 2? You know what I mean? Oh, it's day 1. I'm learning stretches. I'm learning holds. Day 2. Who's the current champion? Oh, go kick his ass. What?
Yeah. Yeah. I did like that they mentioned that, again, I might be confusing movies, but how he's going to be stronger already because he's been absorbing yellow radiation his whole life versus they're just getting acclimated to all of that.
Which is terrifying, which actually makes Zod even scarier because the Kryptonians are naturally stronger. Their metabolism is faster. They're under greater gravity on Krypton. So, okay, so they're going punch for punch with him in the life support suits. And then Zod finally takes the helmet off, and if I remember correctly, there's a scene of his eyes readjusting.
Yeah. I did like that.
They do a POV of finally the radiation coming in because the visor was blocking it out. So his eyes are readjusting, and he goes from hitting hard to hitting Superman hard.
Yeah.
Maybe not as powerful. I mean, you could have the strongest guy, and it doesn't mean he knows how to fight.
Correct.
So you got Superman, who's been absorbing yellow radiation his whole life, but Zod, who's a trained soldier, Superman might hit harder, but Zod knows where to hit.
Yeah.
And, it's like, it goes back to the 3 days thing, right? He's doing his 3 days. His first day was a PR stunt. Prior to that, what do we see on screen? He saves an oil rig from going down, and he wrecks some dude's car out of spite.
Semi truck.
Because he gets upset at the bar. Yeah, the semi. Right? So before that, he's never really put to the test before Smallville. And even Smallville, he was off guard. He still had the upper hand for most of it, I feel.
I think Feora kind of owned him a little bit. She was chumping him, to use your word.
Yeah, it does go to the trained fighter thing that we were saying.
Yeah. And, if we're to quickly touch on a couple of things that I like, I mean, I liked, Zod and the other two. I didn't mind them. I liked their eyes are adjusting. They're wearing the suits because they don't know if they can actually breathe there. I liked all that stuff. And, again, shameless plug, episode 149 of Hey Archer, we talk about how I like Snyder's vision, his costumes, all that stuff. All the visuals of the movie were great. But it almost felt like when he puts it together, it's just too pretty, too, I don't know, maybe too Hollywood's the word, but when I watch the movie, I have zero emotion. The characters to me aren't conveying emotion to me. I don't feel any kind of way towards anybody. Since Snyder tries to do his tearjerker moment with Kevin Costner, but even that death made no sense to me. So it's
no.
I just feel like I'm watching things, but 30 minutes of Justice League, I get way more, the cartoon, I get way more emotion out of a Superman episode than I do in this one. And it's I can't necessarily put a finger on it, but there are things I like. And what I like about it is mainly the visual aesthetic. The one visual part I hate about that movie, and this is more of a Snyder problem again, the beginning Krypton part, he makes his movies so fatty. He doesn't chop shit off. It's just whatever I'm thinking, I'm putting in there. And I feel like the studio's dude, you can't make every movie 5 hours. And he's well, I gotta do 30 minutes of Krypton blowing up. We've never seen this before.
I just recently sat through Army of the Dead, and Army of the Dead could have been an hour shorter.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And the plot still makes no sense. I was thinking about it after our episode, and I don't.
It's rough.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's cool looking.
Exactly.
But and that's all. That's Snyder's huge problem. Snyder can make it look fantastic. But do we need this?
What am I watching?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Editing is the man's strong suit. I think all three of us agreed on that.
Yeah.
Because even by the way, when you said Justice League, I was like, wait a minute. Batman was crying on film in the first 5 minutes of his Justice League. So that's, by the way, going forward, when I say Justice League, I'm thinking of the Snyder Cut.
Got it.
Justice League is that other thing.
Yeah.
But I would never argue the point that nope, the man is a perfect filmmaker and editing is he's a terrific editor because we're in agreement on that one.
You know what's funny?
Point 4.
Just because you said that, I just want to highlight something. I don't remember if I've reviewed this on the Nerd Affiliated channel or not, but I actually did not mind Justice League. I went into Justice League with the lowest of expectations. And by the time the movie was done, I was like, all right, I just watched like a cartoon. Like heavily CG, random things are happening, doesn't really make sense. Visually, it's good. It's only, what was that movie? Like an hour and a half, maybe? I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, sure. Like I had no issue with that movie because at that point, as far as like the DC was, we'll call it the Snyderverse for lack of a better phrase, like I was over that whole thing. And when the movie was done, I was like, yeah, I just watched an episode of the cartoon, but with people playing.
See, I streamed it at home and I liked it better. Justice League, I liked it better than Dawn of Justice.
Mm.
I think Dawn of Justice is awful.
Jesus.
And Justice League is like,
Get off of my show.
but you know, it's not even, and even Dawn of Justice being bad, I don't even think it's Snyder's fault. That comes back to the studio and cutting again. Movie probably way too long, cutting fat and stuff, and that probably could have been another 4 or 5 hour epic. But
Yeah. I mean,
that has more.
time
Dawn of
is
Justice has more technical issues than Justice League, and even the Snyder cut. They're put together well. They're edited well. Dawn of Justice was edited horrible. It goes back to what we were saying about timeline, and I always that's kind of like a make or break for me. Like, do I believe how much time has passed from the starting of the movie to the end of the movie, so every character can take their proper journey as a storytelling element? And there were parts in Dawn of Justice, which I mentioned in our episode, that I don't know where I am. If I have to pause it and go back, and I don't know where I am, or I don't know where the cut came from, or where we're cutting to, then you're not doing a good job. The idea is to tell the story with the editing also. You have to tell the story with the change of scenery, with the cut. And Dawn of Justice did that so bad, where Justice League is not a better story, but it's a more cohesive film. And I feel like in terms of filmmaking, it's put together better.
Anthony?
I hadn't thought of it like that. I could probably give that movie that 1 point in the plus column. I wouldn't. I think I could agree. I could agree with you on that.
Hey, I'm not
Uh,
recommending the movie to anybody, so
yeah, no, I mean, well, I mean, I recommend the
I'm just
movie to
saying in the
kids.
hierarchy.
Like, no,
Yeah,
I mean, I would recommend the movie to kids. Like, like you have a child. Our friend Josh has kids. You know, if hey, put on a silly. You don't feel like watching a cartoon. Put on the Justice League movie. Whatever. It's fun. It's not too scary.
Mm.
Don't put on the Snyder cut because
Yeah.
I think Steppenwolf will scare the hell out of them. But what
I
we're up to
mean,
four?
yeah, I feel like we're on a train of judging all the movies. So before we go
Yeah.
back to the specific movie, I do want to say, Dawn of Justice theatrical, terrible. I left that theater and I was like, this is okay. Like I give up. But for some odd reason, that Snyder cut to me makes that movie way better. And
it makes it watchable.
it makes it watchable. Yes. Like there's, again, story progression doesn't make sense. How do all these things line up perfectly? You know, the trial, that's all of it. Luther's, I don't even know what Luther's plan really was to this day. But it's more, you can digest it easier than the original. So yes, it is 3 hours, but if somebody really wants to see why Affleck has fans of him being Batman, like you need to watch the actual Snyder cut of that versus original 2 hour version.
Definitely.
So we left off on.
I'll side.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I'll side with you another thing on Metropolis.
Mhm.
Got a reoccurring joke about Superman. There's two different types of Superman,
Mhm.
usually in the comics. You got the Superman who is super intelligent, his mind's working at a higher rate, and then you have Captain Punchy. And Captain Punchy, more times than not, is what we get on screen,
Mhm.
as opposed to the brilliant inventor Superman, or at least the Superman that's willing to like think around things.
Yeah.
On screen, you usually get the guy who's going to punch it harder and that's not working. I'm all out of options.
Yeah.
I'll punch it again.
Yeah.
And you, you had a lot of that with Henry Cavill, but then third day on the job, he's punching out with this guy. He's punching it out with Zod, and the only answer he has is to hit the guy harder. It's like I don't know what to do. I'm all out of tricks. He's
But
gotta
that's
keep punching.
acceptable.
In that instance, yeah,
Yeah.
I
But I'm
feel like
saying,
that
like,
becomes
so if,
acceptable because he doesn't have anything else.
yeah, exactly. If like, and granted, that kind of was his answer. They kind of made that his only option in the end of Dawn of Justice. Like he did kind of, did he? Like he oh, my brain's sputtering out on me. Sorry guys. Edit this out. Okay.
Probably not.
He again, he kind of does a little bit of progression, like
Yeah,
he
keep
thinks
it.
through problems a little bit, I think,
Yeah.
with like again going back to giving her the nod. He tries to talk to Batman at first. He's not being Captain Punchy. Him versus Doomsday, again, it's a giant monster. But again, that's progression because what does he do this time? He tries flying him into space.
Mhm.
And if Martian Manhunter hadn't allowed a couple of nukes to be launched at him, guess what? That's how the movie ends. He punches Doomsday into space, and whatever happens from there happens from there. Uh, so it wasn't. You have to look for it because if you're not looking for it, then you're just going to be like, "What the hell?" But like, there was a little bit of progression. He did like he doesn't. He does do. He does. He does. Sorry,
I like
Steve
that you
doesn't.
pointed out that was Martian Manhunter. Like even though the same guy wrote both movies, he makes him Martian Manhunter and just doesn't acknowledge the decisions made in the previous movie. You wrote it. And you really think like that would have been the play. And then after 3 movies of the world being destroyed 3 times, now's when he goes, you know what? I'm ready to help now. Like like a child wrote this. Like it's like there's no
Yeah,
way you sit there and you're like this makes sense. And I got to he's in the same guy's in Man of Steel. So I'm like
yeah,
there's no way you're not at least like, hey dude, just so you know, you're not the only one. I'm here to help you transform. We go forward. But they tried to retroactively change it. They tried to just shoehorn it at the end just because you're like, well, he's got to be there. And it's like, for what? That does nothing going forward whatsoever.
yeah. No, that was a waste in the 2 times you see him like that in Justice League Transform. That was a total waste.
Yeah.
But I'll give you that.
Yeah. But, the movie as a whole, I don't, I guess the overall issue, if I'm going to wrap it into one, if I'm to label the book on why I hate the Man of Steel, there's no purpose in watching the movie. Like it does nothing to storyline. It does nothing to develop his character. It does nothing in the overall universe to me at all, unless I'm missing a part. Because again, if it's its own movie and it's like, oh, there's this like the Batman, right? Like we're all so interested in the Batman. It doesn't mean anything to anything else. It's just the Batman. So even this movie, like just as its own, I'm like, nothing to me, nothing's learned, nothing of greatness happens. I don't know. There's no, to me, it's a soulless movie. And I think that to me, like I said, to label the book, it'd be like, what's the point of this movie? Why am I here?
Well, it's a Snyder movie, so the point of the movie is that he's gonna break as much shit as possible.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, that's kind of,
And
I
have
think that's
amazing
one of the
abs.
things, and have amazing abs. I think that's one of the things you got to kind of go in there with, because if you look at his prior work, you look at Sucker Punch. Um, I'm pretty sure he wrote Sucker Punch,
Yeah.
and s- besides visuals, that's, not really much there. Um, I haven't seen the remake of the Dawn of the Dead or his Dawn of the Dead movie,
Mhm.
so I'm not going to judge on that. But
Watchmen.
even with 300, Watchmen, I love Watchmen. I think Watchmen is fantastic. I'm a huge fan of the comic, and this is actually going to come around to what I'm getting at. Um, I'm a huge fan of the comic, and I think he did a fantastic job of Watchmen, but what he could. Um,
I
but
agree.
the material's already written. 300, the material's already written. Man of Steel, he did an original take. Who has writing credit on that? Does Dave Goyer have writing credit on that too?
I'll look that up right now.
Unless he didn't take any advice from anyone, he just kind of went with his own thing. I don't remember
If he wasn't the
who's
writer,
the.
I think Goyer did the story.
So, written by David Goyer from a story by him and Christopher Nolan.
Hmm.
Hmm.
That's right, because he
So
was very
maybe.
heavily involved in that one.
Well, I think the whole point was to eventually rope everything in, and then it didn't work out that way.
Yeah.
I think the idea was to keep a similar aesthetic. I think that might have been why you had so much of that grain, so much of that grain on the film, so much that blue gray kind of stuff.
So, all right. I guess real quick though, like maybe this isn't real quick, but are we overly critical of Snyder when he's not even the one who wrote? I thought he did write it. I mean, his name's on everything.
Yeah.
But here it is. He only directed. Is he still to blame if that's the storyline given, or they give him the storyline, but he's the one that executes it? He's the one that's like, this much time is on Krypton. This much time is here. The story, the Metropolis is being destroyed to this scale. Like, is that him, or is it more David and Christopher?
Isn't Goyer hit and miss? Like Goyer hits it on the head a couple times. Like he hit it real good, being teamed up with Nolan. He did great with Blade. Where he brought everything
The
back
first one.
after the first one. That's what I'm talking about. After the Batman and Robin flop. You know, so he
Yeah.
brings everything back with comics. Like that's Blade is usually considered the one that ushered us into everything else. That ushered us into X-Men and Raimi Spider-Man. Um,
Hmm.
so is it Goyer? Is Goyer the problem? That Goyer could be like touch and go?
Can I read down some of Goyer's writing credits? He's got a couple producer, couple
Right.
director, but I want to hit on a couple bangers Goyer has, because maybe we have a new target. Maybe we've been too hard on the man.
Because I can't go off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure Goyer's got a bunch of duds in there too.
Oh yeah, right. So here I'll point out the good ones. Right, Blade 2, Blade, Jumper. Nolan's
I
involved.
like Jumper.
Nolan's involved in Jumper, I believe.
I like
Oof.
Jumper. I didn't think Jumper didn't deserve as much heat as it did.
It's passable
But
or watchable, as you say.
yeah,
Anthony disagrees.
I haven't watched it in a while. I remember it. Maybe I'm being too critical, but my initial impression was oof.
Hmm.
well,
But if
I
you're going
agree.
to
It's serviceable.
reconsider Man of Steel, I'll reconsider Jumper
Oh, you know what? I'm
if
sorry.
we've done anything to reconsider it.
It's funny. I was thinking of the wrong movie, and the reason I corrected myself was your favorite person in the world, Sal, Aquafina. She did an episode on her Nora from Queens where she goes back in time. It's funny. I can do a whole thing on that show. It's a great show. But I was like, wait, is this? I asked my girlfriend at the end of it. I was like, was this episode canon or not? Because it's a show about a girl living in Queens, but then there's a whole time travel episode. And one of the things she says in that episode is, "Oh my God, I almost just Loopered myself." So when I saw Jumper, I was thinking of Looper. Jumper, yeah, it's passable, but Looper's a far better
I've
Yes.
movie.
never seen Looper in its entirety.
Ugh, fix that.
Bruce Willis,
Yeah,
right?
and
Bruce
Joseph
Willis
Gordon-Levitt.
and Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah. So we have Blade 2. And he was part of the story for Dark Knight Rises. And now we'll go to the duds. We'll go into some of his more... Oh, he also wrote Death Warrant. So going into duds here. Everybody in the audience, I'll let you decide, hit or miss, The Crow, City of Angels. I was never a Crow fan, so I can't judge that one.
Miss.
Okay.
Miss. Definitely a miss.
Blade Trinity.
Miss.
Batman Begins. I don't like that one.
You think that's a
Really?
dud?
I think it's a dud.
Batman Begins is my favorite one of that whole trilogy.
Nah, no way.
Love Batman Begins.
Well, I
Yeah.
still love Dark Knight more, but Batman Begins is damn good.
I've seen it once.
You need to see it
One
again.
time.
We're gonna have to do a watch party because I
Yeah.
love that movie.
Yeah, that's such a good movie.
Ghost Rider, Spirit of Vengeance.
Yeah, no.
The one we're talking about, Man of Steel. Dawn of Justice. And one that's very, very questionable. Because I feel like I feel like there's a reverse here between you guys defending and me going against. Terminator Dark Fate. I actually like that movie.
Man, anything after T2 is rough. I've seen most of them in theaters.
Yeah.
Which one was
And,
Dark Fate?
When they bring back Sarah Connor.
Wasn't that called Genesis?
No, there's two of them.
that-
No.
That's
Where,
young.
they
That's
recast
young
her.
Sarah Connor.
Right.
Linda Hamill comes back.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
In Dark Fate.
In Dark Fate. I still haven't watched that. I didn't hear good things.
Yeah.
I see you, Steve. I see you, and I raise you.
Mm.
I like Salvation.
Didn't mind it.
Salvation's good.
I don't think Terminator Salvation.
Didn't mind it.
I don't think Terminator Salvation's that bad.
No.
I don't know why. I mean, I don't know what people expected, but I thought that was a solid number 3. If that was to be Terminator T2, Terminator Salvation.
Yes.
Cool.
It's funny. My
Yeah.
joke on that movie is Christian Bale is the only one acting that movie because everybody's doing their job and he's like way up there. He's over emphasizing everything. He's just in your face on everything. He's like sweating and
Yeah.
running around. Everybody's just like, dude, it's just robots. Chill.
Yeah.
Everybody's there for paychecks.
Yeah.
And Bell, well, the argument that they caught on film or on audio of him like screaming at the lighting guy.
Yes,
crazy.
that's right. That was that movie.
But
I
okay,
forgot.
hang on. As we're wont to do, we got off topic here. But because there's one thing I'm surprised. Did you not have a issue with how he handled Zod in the end, ultimately snapping his neck?
Okay, so that one I kind of got to take the approach that Snyder might be more involved in that decision than David, because it's so extreme. And this is this is just a superhero thing now. We've talked about that before, where in superhero movies, either the villain ends up being a good guy at the end, or they just kill them off. And with Zod, there was so much destruction and everything was so over the top. I was like, I guess he had no choice but to kill him. But I feel like part of the Superman charm is that he doesn't kill. He takes the Batman approach. Because, again, ageless conversation. Batman could have and debatably should have killed the Joker millions of times, but doesn't. And I understand day 3 of the job. I get that whole aspect of it. But they wrote themselves into that corner. We're going to position him, laser beam, heading to kids, make your decision. Of course, people are going to snap the neck, but did they have to write it into that corner? Debatable.
I think it makes him a better Superman going forward. I think that happens to make him a better Superman in Justice League, to make him a different Superman in Dawn of Justice. I think that needs to happen because then that gives you the man that you're looking for. We're not there yet. that's kind of
That
that's
gives
the
you the
big
guy that
exception
holds
I make
back.
with that's
Yes.
the big exception I make with Man of Steel is that Man of Steel he's not there, and everybody is saying everybody thinks this is 1939 Superman. This is not, you know, he's not where we need him to be. And this movie is the journey of him getting there. And then from here on forward, it's the Superman that we know and the Superman that we need and the Superman that we deserve. But I think that's where people come off a little too harsh. At least that's where I use the 3 days as perspective.
Hmm.
Yeah. I'm with Sal, and actually I'm shocked that you don't mind it. Like you can't everybody else can't see me, but I was kind of like taken back in my chair. I'm like, "Oh, wow, shit. I thought we were going to have a good I'm for it. I don't think they wrote themselves into a corner at all. I think whereas them sending everybody else back to the Phantom Zone, I'm okay
Hmm.
with. I think if they did that with Zod, that would have been lazy writing and an easy way out. And yeah, I think the only way to go was to snap the neck because Sal's mentioned this to me. I agree with it. And again, like he's saying, where I'm coming from, 3 days on the job, completely outclassed by this guy. He is, let's face it. Zod owns him. Like he lands his punches, but that is the fight. I mean, I'd have to rewatch it, but the way I'm remembering it, it's more or less Zod taking him to school and him like trying anything he can to get back at him, you know? Uh, but I think he had to snap the neck. He had to because, again, first time he's ever facing anybody like that. There's not an established world of him having dealt with anything at all, let alone anything on this level. And now it's literally the choice of, I'm going to kill them or you can kill me. And by the way, I'm not stopping. There is nothing except for stopping me that will make me stop from burning this whole thing to the ground. And
Which is a cool
as
thing
Sal
for
said,
Zod. I think that's kind of cool for Zod because it makes him like it does make him that unstoppable. Or what is it? The immovable object against the unstoppable. No, the unstoppable force against the immovable object. I
yes,
do like that power balance between the two of them. But Zod is so cool that if you keep Zod alive, you keep having him come back. And Mike Shannon was excellent. He's probably the best part of that movie. So
I
it's a
mean,
yeah,
double-edged sword.
the actor did come back.
Well,
well, not
yeah,
really. But this is the
a
like I
silicone
like
body double.
normally, yeah,
No, in the
like
beginning of
normally I hate.
sorry, I was gonna say the
He wasn't in it.
beginning of Justice League. He's the robber,
Oh,
No, he's not.
the criminal that Batman's going after.
He's not the robber.
In the beginning of Justice League.
In the beginning of the of J Justice League,
All
that's not Michael Shannon.
right.
Telling you it's not. But so whereas while you're Googling that, whereas I think we were all usually pretty critical of why, oh my God, they killed the villain, they killed Green Goblin, they killed Dr. Octopus. What the hell? There's no reason for them to do this. There's a reason for them to do this.
Hmm.
There is 110% a reason for him to do this. And like Sal said, that sets us up for now it's a Superman going forward who has to learn. This is his reason for it's one thing to say, "Oh, I don't kill because I'm a god." It's another reason to say, "I don't kill because I've done it. This is terrible. I was a farm boy. I've dealt with death, cows, get my steak and whatnot." That's a different type of killing. I
Hmm.
had to kill to save people, and it sucked. I need to be better. So if they had given us time, we could have seen like that's why we could have he get that's the real start of his journey from there. It's cool. He's learning about himself. He's flying. Oh my God, I'm so strong. I got this cool suit. Look at the cape. All this other stuff. To me, that kicks off. If they had done a proper Man of Steel 2, you're picking up from that point. That's where he's taking his first steps to really becoming Superman, to really starting his hero's journey. From there, he has to be a little bit better. We see it a very small way in in Dawn of Justice. We
Hmm.
see it uh, we see in Dawn of Justice, you got to remember that this just happened a year ago, and now that's why he's so anti-Batman, because he's had to kill. He sees Batman as doing all these extreme things. He doesn't know he's not a killer. He thinks that he's a killer by proxy, by by branding the guys and them being beaten and killed in jail.
Mhm.
So, and that's smart on Luther's part to realize uh, that he had such a reaction to that pits him. That's a good way to pit him against Batman by, hey, he's killing people. He's killing people by proxy. He's marking these people, and then somebody else does the actual dirty work. And I heard or read an interview, one or the other, with him recently with Cavill, where he was like, there's different takes of him snapping Zod's neck, and there's one where he cries. And I think that would have been a fantastic, like, if we're going to re-edit stuff, add that scene in, add that take in, snap, and then maybe not like, I don't think he should fall down to the floor blubbering like a child, but like as he screams no, like there could be tears. Like I'm okay with the way Batman had tears in his eye in Snyder's cut.
Mhm.
Tears running down his face, like his eyes welling up. That would have been cool to show more emotion. But this is one comic movie death where I think that's the only real way they could have gone, because it would have been cheating. Anything else would have been cheating. What's he going to do? Look up in the sky as the plane is about to crash into the world engine and do a quick fastball special of Zod into it?
Mhm.
That wouldn't have made sense to me. That would have been that if they had done that, I would have left that movie more annoyed than I left at the end of Dawn of Justice.
This is turning from a rambling into a snap because now you got the gears
Yeah.
moving.
Sorry.
Well, real
Didn't
quick,
mean to. Have we done anything for your position? Are you even considering rewatching this movie with like a beer and an open mind?
well, so first, I would like to correct my error. Oh wait, I realize your picture is blocking
Yep.
his face.
My picture's front and center. Ha ha. Yeah.
I
not
thought
my
that
picture.
guy was him when I originally watched it. That's how many times I've watched this movie.
Okay.
So I stand corrected. I thought that was him. Sorry, shouldn't jump back. Yeah, so I stand corrected on. I thought it was the same guy. So every so often I make a mistake. Very rare though.
You're only
Happens.
Yeah. I see the points, right? I see the points in the murder that occurred. But I was thinking, couldn't the same thing be done? And I feel like Zod generally, like we've seen Zod in Superman 2 in the animated series. And then in this, maybe I'm thinking of one other example with Zod. But this is the second time they killed him off in the animated series Phantom Zone. So I was thinking they could have easily done, well, not easily, but Invincible, right? Invincible has that moment where, have you guys watched the cartoon?
I haven't.
I am well
Go
versed
ahead.
on like the first 100 issues, and I've seen the cartoon.
Oh, there you go. Showing off. So there's moments where he accidentally murders people. And it's those old shit moments like, I've got powers. I've got to be careful. I can almost do this. I like you said, the fastball special. I would have been fine with that. Zod into Phantom Zone. He's like, yeah, I saved the day. And then he turns around and realizes, one, all the destruction he caused, but two, their bodies there from maybe something he did. And it's like, that's the breakdown moment. And not the yelling BS thing, but the breakdown moment, like there are people involved. It's not, I can't just focus on the person I'm fighting, right? The learning moment, because just like with Batman, we were talking about the Gotham Knights short where he's wearing it's not a suit, but the device that when you shoot a bullet,
The bullet
shield goes
reflector.
off. Yeah. Reflects a bullet. He hurts somebody else. That's Superman's moment of like, oh shit, I've got to be careful. Like other people can get hurt in what I'm doing. And especially if people are coming after me, people can get hurt and I can kill somebody. Character trait learned. We go forward. He's not murdered Zod. Zod could be used in the future type of scenario.
You know what I think changes what would be a big change going forward if we were to ever snap this, is that you end the movie differently, because ending the movie differently also makes the start of Dawn of Justice better. So you would need two things. You would need to end the movie differently, which I'm going to touch on, and you would need a Man of Steel 2 before Dawn of Justice. Instead of having that I believe there's like a sunny scene at the end where he's talking to Martian Manhunter as a general.
Yeah. He takes down another satellite.
Yeah, the sun's setting in the background. Cut that. You know where the movie goes black? After he snaps Zod's neck. Snaps Zod's neck, he does the scream, black, credits. Let everybody sit in the seat and think about it. No end credit sequence, no post credit sequence. Just cut the movie right there, right after the scream.
I think you would need the second movie. You'd need the second movie already done, and the
second movie would have to come like right in.
Yeah,
would have to come like right after that.
A Lord of the Rings moment,
but then
that's the next year. It's out.
But that's where you get the beginning of Dawn of Justice. We're now, that's where Superman went. But then wait a second. So he might be all happy and cheery now that he's moved on and he's learned from his instance. Doesn't mean everybody's moved on. And that's where you get the Bruce Wayne, running through the city, dust everywhere, buildings coming down around him.
Great sequence.
Yeah, and I think that's where that sequence actually becomes more powerful if you temper it with a Man of Steel too, picking up right where Zod's killed.
Yeah, I don't hate it.
You realize that's also why. Sorry,
go ahead.
I realized too. That's why he's so moody, Superman, in Dawn of Justice, because he is still probably psychologically dealing with the ramifications of having killed the guy a year later.
Yeah.
So for everybody who's like, "Oh, he didn't smile more," well, he just killed.
Do we have a reason?
A person. Dude, can we? He
not just a person. He just killed the last of his species.
One of, because the other ones are alive. They're in the Phantom Zone, so they're alive.
Yeah.
Sorry, but yeah, I mean, like, we can do a proper snap, but that would have been a lot more powerful for them to do it the way it did, because they tried to go light again. They're like, okay, this just happened. We got to do something to kind of cheer this up a little bit, which that's Hollywood. But for us, no, I'm with you. Like, snaps his neck, falls to his knees. And if you're gonna, I like the scream. If you're gonna get rid of the scream, I want tears or eye welling, something to show emotion.
Yeah,
that's just me.
Yeah. Well, to your question, as we approach the end of the episode, because we're already almost an hour in, as they say, time flies when you're having fun. I'll give you guys this. I will rewatch it, start to finish. I'm not going to fast forward through the Jor-El, Russell Crowe stuff. I'll make it through.
We can get beers. We'll watch party it.
I don't think that deserves a watch party. I'm not going to go that far. We'll watch party something good. I will watch party Batman Begins with you guys. I'll do that. I'll give that that another shot publicly. But Man of Steel, that's gonna have to just be on the TV. I'm working on something. I'm gonna give it my best to get. It's really the hardest part for me to get through is the Krypton stuff. I feel like that was so boring.
The Krypton stuff could have been shortened.
It was so boring, so drawn out. Yeah.
But I think if you're gonna do it, like, you can't be working on something else, because you're gonna miss something and you're gonna be rewinding. And if you're gonna do it, you got to do it.
There's nothing to miss. What is there to miss?
In the whole movie, I'm not talking about necessarily just the Krypton stuff, but I'm saying, like, I get distracted. I have something on and I get distracted listening to podcasts even, and I'm like, wait a minute. And I end up stopping it because I'm just like, I'm not paying attention. So if you're going to rewatch the movie, I think you got to, sit. I'll send you pizza and beer. I'll pay for your night in on the couch with the lady. And is there a good pizza where you are? Because I'm biased. I think there's not.
No. You're right. We did find a really good pizza spot in Boston. There's like 0 overall, but where we are, there's 1. And the guy kills it
Okay.
on the pizza.
All right,
Bagels
so
are
you
still
send
out.
me his information. I'll Zelle you or whatever money because I'm not. I was like, I'll order it for you. That's too much work. I'll give you the money. You buy what you want. Sit down on the couch and actually dedicate. What is it? It's a 2-hour movie.
Mhm.
I know we said it at some point, but that's my
Probably
request.
2.5.
But
Yeah.
okay, well 2.5. I'll throw in a couple extra beers or wine, whatever. Uh, so that's my only thought on you rewatching it. But I'm glad you'll at least rewatch it. And yeah, the Krypton stuff was a little drawn out. Like the flying beasts thing, I was like, all right, they're an advanced civilization. Wouldn't they have a flying car?
Yeah.
Which they do have. They have the ships. So like, why is he still riding around on a flying? What was it? What was the creature from the Never-Ending Story? That's essentially what they are.
Valcor.
The flying dragon, Valcor.
No, they look more like Avatar, right? Don't they
Oh,
look
okay,
more
yeah.
like the,
No,
the
that they
beast
do
from
look more
Avatar?
like Avatar. They do. They do. Sorry, my mind just went to the 80s though.
You went back to good
But okay, I know
movies.
you said, well, yeah. Uh, if you could, I know we're all under a time crunch, and real quick though, you know what I want to mention because I posted about it. Can you throw up that photo of Mr. Ralph?
Yeah, I'll put it right here.
Okay, so we all know what picture I'm thinking of. We've all read the article where he was like, "Yeah, who knows what's happening going forward." For God's sakes, not a direct sequel to Superman Returns, because there is very little that is decent in that movie. But look at that man. Picture him in your minds for the three of us. In that suit, I want to see an HBO Max where with that guy. A series, a movie. You did no? Why? You don't think that look do you at least think it looks good or you're
Oh
rolling
yeah,
your
no, no,
eyes?
no, yeah. Visually, yeah. But Sal had something.
The, to do the like a Kingdom Come kind of thing, we're gonna do him as an old man. I'm for it. I'm what is it, Tom Hecklin? I'm really into him right now. The whole Superman and Lois stuff.
Yeah,
But I would
exactly.
definitely uh if if you're gonna go with Superman, he's got to be like an older Kingdom Come style Earth One
Yeah,
type Superman, and that's
Brendan's
all
not
I would
there.
accept. You don't
Yeah,
think he's there? I think he's there. I
I
like the
think
way it looks.
He is.
It's
He
got to
is
it's got to
if
be written
you
right.
if you write it right, but he is if you say, okay, he's the Christopher say it's canon, or say forget it. Say Superman Returns is not canon. Perfect. Superman with Christopher Reeves 1 and the Donner Cut 2 are canon.
mm,
And then he's had a whole bunch of adventures because say it happened in real time. Happened in the 70s. I can't do math on the fly. So
40. He'd be 40 something now.
he's 50 years in, 40 years in now, 50 years in now if you started it in the
Oh
1970s.
yeah. 40. So he'd be in his 50s.
Well, I'm saying no, he'd be
If he was
older than
born in
that,
the
but I'm
70s,
saying decades wise. No. It like
You're
he'd be like
saying
leap
70.
years. What? Hang on a second.
50
I'm
years
sorry.
of
What
Superman.
year did Superman the movie come out? If
7.
you can Google it.
I want to take a guess before I Google it. 72.
Yeah, I was gonna go with
I
73.
think it was like 70, later 70s. I thought it was like 75, 78.
No, it wasn't that close to Star Wars. I don't
No?
think it was.
Ooh, Anthony
We're all
just
wrong.
sunned us. 78.
Oh,
Really?
okay.
So Star Wars came out first? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's at like roughly 40 years of Supermaning. If if you do that movie and the Donner cut of Superman 2, which I still have to see. Sorry. Kryptonians age slower than us.
Right.
It's conceivable that he, in real time, has lost people close to him by now. So, saying Brandon Routh it looks too, you can age him up a little bit, like they added the gray hair and whatnot to him. But I think if your argument is he's not old enough to play him, like bear in mind he's still a Kryptonian. He's still aging way slower in the comics. There's issues where he's like hundreds of years old with like generations of super people
Red
as a
Sun.
legitimate family.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah. The ending of Red Sun. Spoiler.
I thought the red. That's the one where he's a communist, right?
Hmm.
Oh, I didn't know that was one. I saw a clip on Instagram where it was a different one. But anyway, point being, I think if for those, I forgot which one of you guys already said it, he's old enough, if you bear that in mind, to play a Kingdom Come Superman.
Actually, sorry to everybody watching and listening. I don't want to steer you completely wrong. Red Sun, he doesn't have kids and all of that at the end, but he is still alive hundreds of years later. He faked his own death. Spoiler alert to a like 20-year-old comic book, but
which I haven't read yet.
It's
okay. It's all good.
Pretty good.
I don't know how you've not read that one. Read it.
I'm a terrible person. I apologize for my failings.
That's one of the better Superman books. I think that's like on a must read. Now the animated movies, freaking, they ruined that terribly. But
I just finished The Long Halloween on HBO, and
I still can't finish it. I can't finish it.
You know what didn't translate so bad?
Wait, Sal, what was that?
You know what didn't translate so bad? Have you seen All-Star Superman?
Good movie.
Yes.
Compared to the book, it's not. They kind of like keep it in line. It's not bad.
Yeah.
And All-Star Superman, that's a thinking Superman.
Yes.
That's like
that's
like he's overpowered as shit, but he's thinking his way out of problems. That should have been like a blueprint for them to follow. If you know how, like, obviously Batman Begins did year one and so on and so forth. People have borrowed from storylines. All-Star Superman should have been in some way referenced or like in their heads when they did Man of Steel, I think.
Yeah.
Like going forward, again, like in the first one, I'm okay, but like going forward, let's have that, intellectual Superman, that thinking Superman who's more than Captain Punchy.
I had a moment of that in Superman and Lois. So I'm on episode, I think, 5 or something like that, and 5 or 6. And there's the guys shooting him with that sound blaster that's making his ears glow red, which was pretty badass. And he's getting, smacked up by this dude, but then his kids call for help, and he immediately, like, the switch goes off, and he's like, okay, need to end this battle now. And instead of trying to punch his way out, makes his own Hulk, smacking his hands together, sonic boom, to blow the guy back and then destroy the gun. And I was like, oh, he had a thinking moment. I also was wondering if this was one of those moments where they're like, Superman toys with us because he's like, I'm going to entertain everything, but really, I can just get rid of all this stuff real quick,
That was like the scene in the motel.
Which I like too.
So the scene in the motel, he's getting beat up by the power, the superpower guy, right?
Yeah.
And he's taking shots and he's letting the guy throw him around. And then he comes back and he's like, okay, gloves are off.
Yeah.
And then he just whoops him. And it's almost the same thing where he takes a bunch of shots and he's like, all right, you got yours in.
Yeah.
Now daddy's home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He hits
takes
the
the shots
movies, hits
for
him with
his
the
own
clothesline.
education.
Yeah.
He's taking those shots so he can learn how much he can give back to whoever he's going against.
Yeah. And
I love it. I love the way it's written.
And that's how that's what I liked about the Invincible cartoon. It kind of had that. You kind of had those moments with Omni-Man. Again, I'm not spoiling anything for you, Anthony, because I really want you to watch it. But there's those moments where you're like, oh, he's like in the mix with everybody. And then he's like, oh no, by the way, like I'm kind of just doing this to hang with you. But this is, like you said, Sal, daddy's home. And he just lays smack down on people.
Yeah.
But real quick, last thing I get. I think that should be a segment. We say last thing like 5 times on the show. Anthony, I was telling Sal about the second to last season of Justice League Unlimited. There's the episode where, and it's funny because the last couple episodes of that season make you think that's the end of the series, and there's one more. But I think after Destroyer, I think it's the name of the episode, when Darkseid comes back, and they take him to Source Wall and all that stuff. The episode, the Batman Beyond episode with Amanda Waller, where Terry McGinnis goes to see her to find out how he was actually born. I was telling Sal, to me, one of the best Batman episodes all time. Am I over exaggerating?
Yes, you're over exaggerating. I love that episode, but I also
try not to spoil it though.
I intend on
Sal
watching
hasn't
it.
seen it?
No.
Oh
No.
boy.
I thought I did. I don't remember it, so I intend on going back and checking it out.
So you think I'm over exaggerating that episode?
I think you're over exaggerating it. I like the look of it. I like it, but when you sit down and actually start thinking about the ideas that they've put forward and the changes they've made for Terry, it takes away from Terry to just build Bruce back up. And you don't need to do that. We know who Bruce is. We know he's great. All this other shit. You've just, in a way, you've just lessened Terry, who had a lot going against him. Like when I remember being a kid, hearing that Batman Beyond was coming out, and thinking to myself, no, that's terrible. Bruce Wayne's the only Batman there ever can be, there ever will be. That's wrong. That's wrong. I was really pissed off because I was stupid and young. So yeah, Sal, please. It's like 20 minutes out of your life without commercials.
I was about to say that. I was about to say it's like 20 minutes.
I'll take care of it.
Epilogue.
I'll take care of it.
What it's called.
Take care of that, and then you and I, if not the three of us, you and I will at least discuss that and loop Mr. Archer back in. But I like it visually. I think it's a good episode up and until you start thinking about it.
Yeah. So yeah,
which is the opposite problem you have with Man of Steel. You have to start thinking about it, and then you'll realize, oh, it actually is a better movie than I thought.
Yeah.
See what I did there?
And
all coming around.
I'm still not gonna say it's a good movie, but yeah, as I read this synopsis here, it's called Epilogue. I think it's season 2. I think there's 3 seasons of Unlimited, or maybe there's 2. Oh no, there's 4 Justice League seasons, but 2 regular, 2 Unlimited.
Yeah.
So
that
season
one was
3.
supposed to be, Epilogue was supposed to be the end of the Bruce Timm, Paul Dini animated universe. And then whoever's WB or Cartoon Network was like, hey, come back for one more.
One more, which was great.
And by the way, Paul Dini has the same issue with Epilogue that I have. So we have, so we can't say because of Mr. Sal, but
I'll take care of it
next
tonight,
week, folks.
Promise.
Take care of that. Thank you.
Second season, episode 13. For everybody watching.
Oh man,
I love that cartoon.
Before we sign off, yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, sorry. Go ahead.
It's a good show. No, it's a great show, and I've always been really into it. I found out a really cool Richard Donner fact.
Oh,
you into cowboy movies at all?
Not so much, but I'll watch them to, say I've watched them. All
right. So, little movie called Wild Wild West came out in like 1999. And
the movie, that little movie that caused Will Smith to turn down The Matrix.
Yeah, that one. So originally that movie was to be written by Shane Black, directed by Donner, and star Mel Gibson.
Wow.
Yeah, in 1996, it was being batted around.
Mm-hmm.
All 3 of them dropped out.
Yeah.
And it became Maverick, which is a really cool cowboy poker movie.
Oh, yeah, Maverick. Yeah, that's a good movie.
Yeah.
Based on a TV show.
So I found that out recently.
I did not know that.
Well, yeah, it was also based on a TV show, the same way Wild Wild West was.
Yeah.
I always like those, you find out who was originally supposed to do what, and then, they turn it down or things don't line up, and then you get, the resurgence of Keanu Reeves as a good part of that. The thing that I learned from a friend who saw Rocky IV in theaters, which I was mad I didn't go see, was that Barbara Streisand and Cher were like the first 2 runners to be Adrian in Rocky, but they turned it down.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. And then the other nugget I learned the other day from this guy who used to work for me, he's huge into James Bond, even though he thinks all the new stuff sucks. Like, he just loves the lore of James Bond.
Okay.
What's his face? I think Tom Selleck was supposed to be Bond at one point.
Yikes.
Count Dooku. Christopher Lee.
Chris Lee?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They wanted him to play James Bond, but he turned it down.
Probably right after Connery.
I think so. And that Pierce Brosnan, you know, that was the James Bond that probably a lot of us kind of came into the game with, like when that was getting popular again. Like,
GoldenEye.
yeah, like he just got fired, like, I think randomly, like he saw they were recasting James Bond, and that's how he learned his run was done. Like, they did him dirty on that,
rough.
apparently. Yeah.
Awkward.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Well, fellas, actually, Anthony, this is I keep trying to talk like it's my show, and I feel like you give me breaks in conversation for me to host like it's my show. It's your show, so why don't you take us home?
Yeah. Okay. So we did this before. You and I mentioned 2 cars we'd have, well, a car apiece. Sal, if we were building the nerd affiliated garage, what is one vehicle you're adding to it? I have a 70s Bandit style Trans Am. Steve, what was one of yours?
I think if I had to pick just one, at the moment, because I drive a Tacoma and because you're going to have a Trans Am anyway, I'll go Back to the Future Tacoma, the one Marty drives.
Right. Okay.
So you guys keep talking about your garage, and I've noticed you've only put cars in your garage. So
It's
maybe
not
if there's
limited.
room for a watercraft, what about the Thunder in Paradise?
Yes,
speedboat that turns
exactly
into a
what I was
submarine?
hoping you would say. Exactly.
Can we have a Hulk Hogan LMD driving it?
Why not?
Oh yeah.
Oh man,
All right,
I was so
perfect.
hoping
Yes.
you would
No,
say
hey,
that.
listen, garage.
Awesome.
I use that as we're going to throw planes in there. We're going to throw more watercraft in there.
Yeah.
2-wheel vehicles, 4-wheel vehicles, no-wheel vehicles. All are welcome. It's an umbrella term.
Cool.
If only if for not for being copyright striked, I would have the Thunder in Paradise music take this podcast home.
Take us out.
But Anthony, you can do it.
I appreciate that. It was great talking to you guys. Steve, pizza and beer are on me. Watch that movie. Give it an open shot. There's a show called Hey Archer. When does that air? Remind me.
Thursdays at 8 p.m.
Perfect. Sal, you and I do a little thing, sometimes a segment of this. What's it called?
I think we snap things in and out of existence to make them balance, as all things should be.
I think, yeah, that sounds familiar. So, Hey Archer, Thursday nights, The Snap, a new episode coming soon. I think we have, maybe not Men of Steel, but that will be snapped. And Rambling with myself, Anthony, whenever we get around to it. But thank you guys. Hope everybody listening and watching enjoyed. And have a day.
Carpe Noctem. See you guys around.